In 18th century Bengal, life for a commoner moved at a quiet, predictable rhythm. At the center of this rural landscape lived Gopal Bhar, a court jester whose world was anchored in simple, earthly comforts. His deepest attachment was to his village, specifically his wife's cooking. The raw ingredient for his favorite treat, a deep-fried palm fritter called talar bora, grew directly overhead in the local trees. But without warning, a royal messenger arrived in the village, carrying an order that shattered Gopal's quiet existence. The order came directly from the Nawab of Murshidabad. The scale of this palace reflects a ruler whose authority spanned the entire region, holding absolute dominion over millions of subjects. For a commoner like Gopal, a peaceful life was entirely conditional. It existed only as long as an unpredictable monarch allowed it to. The Nawab was suffering from a deep, unshakable depression. His decree was terrifyingly simple. Gopal was to permanently relocate to Murshidabad to serve as his personal entertainer. Gopal's own king, Maharaja Krishnachandra, was entirely subordinate to the Nawab. The local court had no political leverage to refuse the demand. Defying a direct order from the supreme ruler meant severe punishment and likely death for both Gopal and his Maharaja. Gopal was trapped in a lethal paradox. If he obeyed, he would lose his home, his family, and his freedom forever. If he defied the order, he would be destroyed. Negotiating a no with a dictator who holds the power of life and death is mathematically impossible. Under the standard rules of power, you comply or you perish. Gopal arrived at Murshidabad's grand court and quickly succeeded in making the depressed Nawab laugh. Thrilled by this sudden relief, the ruler offered Gopal a dangerous reward, a blank check to ask for anything he desired. Asking to go home would be a fatal error. Rejecting a monarch's hospitality is a direct insult to their ego and their absolute authority. So Gopal pivoted. Instead of challenging the Nawab's political authority, he targeted the ruler's pride as a host. He fabricated a highly specific crisis. Gopal claimed he was overwhelmed by a sudden craving for his wife's hot talar bora and the famous Krishnanagar Sorpaja sweets. These were hyper-local peasant foods that the royal chefs in Murshid and Murshid had no way to recreate. By doing this, Gopal engineered a hospitality dilemma. He made the absolute monarch feel inadequate at providing for his guest. With the Nawab feeling suddenly powerless to fulfill a simple request, Gopal confidently offered a solution. The Nawab should travel to Krishnanagar to experience these unattainable culinary treats himself. This suggestion hit the exact psychological pressure point the Nawab needed. It offered a novel, exclusive adventure that promised to cure his aristocratic boredom. Intrigued by the prospect of an exotic local delicacy, the Nawab agreed. In a matter of minutes, Gopal had transformed a sentence of permanent exile into a temporary VIP culinary tour. This diagram illustrates the gambit's structural brilliance. We start with an initial vector of power, Murshidabad pulling Gopal inward by force. But by introducing a highly specific, immovable variable, local food, Gopal hijacks that vector. He reverses the flow of gravity, pulling the Nawab into Krishnanagar. Gopal demonstrates that negotiation succeeds when you redefine the parameters of the conflict. By shifting the focus to something the opponent cannot provide, he leads them to choose the desired outcome voluntarily. Back safely on his home turf in Krishnanagar, Gopal secured his freedom. He immediately turned his sights on his local rival, the formally educated, elite royal minister. Gopal challenged the minister to a rapid-fire quiz, starting with what sounded like an elementary math problem. Subtract 30 from 37. The minister confidently gave the standard mathematical answer, 7. Gopal immediately declared him incorrect, embarrassing the official in front of the entire court. The puzzle isn't mathematical, it's linguistic. In Bengali, the word for 37 is saitrish, and 30 is trish. If you take trish away from saitrish, you're left with the prefix sai. Gopal pressed the attack. Asked what 1 plus 1 is, he made 11. For 2 plus 2, he joked about cow's milk. He weaponized nonsense against academic logic. Lateral thinking provides a versatile weapon for the powerless. When he is completely outmatched by formal education or imperial armies, a jester can rewrite the rules of engagement entirely. Gopal Bhar successfully navigated the demands of absolute power. cheered a sovereign's depression, and publicly humiliated his political rival, all without ever raising a single weapon or formally disobeying a single order. The jester endures in folklore because his story offers a practical blueprint for navigating a rigged system. It shows that even a common citizen can find leverage against a crown by understanding how people actually think. Gopal's return home was secured by a palm fruit and a play on words. He demonstrates that a sharp grasp of human psychology disrupts rigid hierarchies more effectively than direct defiance. By outsmarting the elite at a game they didn't know they were playing, the jester uncovers a source of power that an army cannot seize.